is John Hoylo, and we're continuing our look into the question of who was Charles H. Gaylord. My guest today is Great Grandmaster James Juarez. Thank you for joining us today, sir.
My pleasure. My pleasure, John.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Grandmaster Juarez is a 10th degree black belt in the Gaylord branch of Kajukenbo. He's also the recognized inheritor of the Kajukenbo Association of America, as designated by Charles Gaylord himself. Now, before we go too much further, I just need to say something very quickly about titles. Last time we had a podcast, I interviewed Grandmaster Melchor Chavez, and I had to apologize because I knew I would slip up and accidentally call him Professor for old time's sake. Now, Grandmaster Juarez, you know I call you Sigang, and there's a very good chance I will call you that today. Is that okay?
Anything like that is okay. I'll tell you a reason. I like the title Sigang because basically it means martial art grandfather. And with my students going out and opening their own schools and getting their own black belt, blah, blah, I feel like a grandfather. Great Grandmaster kind of sounds like you got to climb up on a mountain to get to him. So it's new.
That is. And I feel the exact same way. I think that's exactly what the system should be, is a very familiar relationship with people. Well, if it's okay, I would like to go back to where it all started. Can you tell us, when was the first time you met Great Grandmaster Gaylord? And in fact, by the way, Sigang, you've been in Kajukenbo now for like 50 years. Is that about right?
Well, let's see. I'd have to think about that, but it's about 1963, 1964, either one.
Okay.
I believe it was in the early part of 64, but I might be wrong.
Okay. Has he been
I believe it was March.
Okay, so it's quite a long time. And during that time, basically, you've only considered one person to be your instructor. Is that right?
Yes. I've learned other forms and other techniques from other instructors, from other competitors and blah, blah, blah. But I've only had one teacher, and that's Grandmaster Charles Gaylord.
And what was he like when you first met him? How did you meet him, and what was he like?
Well, I was fortunate in the night that I chose to go and watch his classes. There was a couple students in my junior high year, 8th grade, two Filipino guys. They were both playing around one day, and they did some stuff, and I was already interested in it from a TV show that I watched, Ozzie and Harriet, blah, 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 the Nelsons, they had a family. Yeah. Anyways, Ricky did some moves of karate on that show, and it got me interested, okay? Then I met two guys in my class that were actually training with Professor Gaylord. I'd already looked at Law's Jiu-Jitsu and Wally J's and other places around. I didn't feel anything coming from their school. So one day I decided to get on the bus and go take a ride out and see this guy. And it was on East 14th Street, past a roller arena that's no longer there. Anyways, I walk in the door. It was weird. One side of the door looked like a two-way door. One side goes into a bar, and one side went into his school. So anyways, the mat was right next to the visitor sitting area. So I had to squeeze myself in, and he comes out, and everybody starts, they salute him, and they start doing techniques. I think it was punching attacks or grab arts. Anyways, but for the life of me, I don't know why I did it, but I started rubbing the wall next to me, and it was all wet. And I said, "Ooh, I think I found a home."
That sounds like it's hardcore.
I talked to him, and he said, "Come on in, join the beginners class, and we'll see what you can do." I said, "Okay."
And you've been with him ever since.
Yes.
So,
except for when he went, see, Professor Gaylord owned the school in San Leandro. It was called Gaylord's School of Karate, or School of Gaylord's Method, blah, blah, blah. But it was run by Gabe Vargas. Gabe Vargas was the treasurer. Okay. He was only a first degree, and there were other black belts there, and some were second degree. I think Jim Nordley stopped there once in a while, and Wolf Hillsheim stopped there. Guy by the name of Stephen Owl stopped by, all to say hello to Grandmaster. Mm-hmm. And so I felt comfortable that he was well known and was a good practitioner.
I see. So it seemed like a lot of people knew him then. Was he really that big of a name in San Leandro, Bay Area?
Bay Area, really, because the school that he trained at, or that was the big hub, mm-hmm. he had San Leandro School as a second school, and he would come once a week, once every other week, blah, blah, blah. But his main school was in Fremont. Mm-hmm. Wolf had the school out in San Pablo. Jim Nordley had the school out in Concord. It was spread out. Mm-hmm. There were about 5 different schools that were connected to him through teaching. Uh-huh. You know, they didn't sign a contract or anything. It's all them running it, and he just was the number one.
I see. Okay. So how would you describe him as a person? I mean, if for someone who's never met him before, never been to a school with his classes, what was he like?
Very easy to talk to, but he had his rough side. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you about when I got my first degree.
Okay.
Max Palin and I were going to be promoted on the same day. So we got together in a car with a guy named Gary Lobadote. It was my car, 53 Chevy, painted purple. You know, I mean, regular eyesore. Yeah, regular eyesore. And we were going over to the Fremont School for the promotion ceremony. I think it was some kind of a barbecue, probably for his birthday or something. His yearly barbecue. Okay. And potluck dinner. And on the way over there on the street, I was a mile from the on-ramp to the freeway, right?
Right.
Some guy pulls up alongside and starts calling Max, you know, all kinds of names, you know, N-word and blah, blah, blah. Max very calmly gets out of the car and talks to the guy, and the guy says, "What are you doing?" Blah, 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 blah. And Max hit him 3 times with a sidekick. Bam, bam, bam. And the guy's head, I never forget his head bouncing back and forth. And he goes, "Okay, go over there, you know, to this gas station over there." So away we go. We pull in over there. Max jumps out of the car. Next thing I know, he's got the guy by his shirt, and he's drilling him into the ground. Another guy tries to come in through the passenger side of driver's side of my car. As soon as he opened the door, I let him come in part way, hit him with a sidekick. He was done. My other partner, Gary Lobadote, jumps out of the car and blah, blah, blah. We put them on their backs. I went over, grabbed Max. "Come on, Max, we got to go." So we got in the car and go down the freeway about half a mile, and then the hood comes up off my car. Whoop, just shut the windshield out. I pull over the side. Yeah, I'm saying, what else doesn't want us to meet Grandmaster? You know? So I shut the hood, and we got down and finally got there. My sandal was hanging by a thread. You know, I'm flopping all around the store. Max had some buttons torn on his shirt, and we go in, and he goes, "Is there anything you want to tell me?" I said, "Not right this moment." I said, "We'll tell you about it later, but not right now." So then we tried to just go back and do the diplomas and stuff like this, but all the time we're thinking, okay, he's gonna tell us that he needs to know. But that's the kind of guy he was.
How did he react with you guys?
What's that?
How did he react? I mean, you guys all torn up, and he knows something was wrong, but
yeah. So, well, we told him we'll talk about it later, you know, and we don't want to interfere with your promotions, you know, or everything's happening now. And he said, okay.
And eventually, you guys told him, I'm sure. Did he say anything specific, or how did he react to that?
He said, "No, you acted fine. You acted fine." Mm-hmm. I said, "I was afraid that you were going to take our belts away."
So, how would you say Grandmaster felt about the use of force in that kind of situation? Like, there's the martial artist that says we shouldn't be fighting people, there's also the martial artist that says we need to defend ourselves. We have the right to defend ourselves. How would you say how would he talk about that, for example?
I don't have any firsthand knowledge of that, but there are stories where he and his second wife, Millie, were at the Great Mall in Milpitas, and they got accosted by some people, and they put him down. But he was always one. I'll tell you something that would kind of clear up his idea about the use of force.
Okay.
We were at a tournament in, I think it was Oakland. He doesn't rarely come to them. But he was at this one, and one student of another school got punched in the face and hurt pretty good, you know. I was standing next to him, and he tells the young kid, he says, "You know how you stop some guy from hitting you in the face?" The guy says, "No." He says, "You hit him first."
That's the kind of guy he was, huh?
Yeah, that's the kind of guy.
Excellent.
Give you the shirt off his back, but don't insult him.
So there is a fine line in that too. I mean, there's
Yes.
you don't want to be someone who gets stepped on and walked over.
Basically, it was not proving that you were bigger or better, but that nobody had a right to touch you. Nobody had a right to offend you. You know, that's it. You know, he was defending that right. Nobody's come out with an autobiography of him. You know, it might be good for somebody that has the time to get out a book on that. They've had films of him. They've did the Kajukenbo book, you know, that's out.
Right.
But to just sit and talk with him, nobody has that down. Even though he was outgoing and especially towards the twilight, he liked to sing and stuff like this, you know, but he was kind of private. You know, you had to call him at a certain time or you wouldn't get him at all. He would return your call, but he liked his privacy. I don't know if it's because people wanted to train with him so much that he needed an outlet or something.
Right.
There's so many things going through my head. Well, you know, I don't know where to begin because he was a dynamic person. One of these larger than life who would come down or come out of his shell and whatever and talk to you. I wanted to share with you a little bit about when Tommy and Ron Esteller performed a two-man set. To me, it was done so well, it made Professor proud. When they presented the trophy to him, I told him, give him a trophy, and I'll get you one later to mark this day. But for now, make him feel good. So they went over and gave him the trophy, and you see his eyes. He was touched.
Yeah,
he was touched. I can tell you about one time where first time I ever met Sergio Imperato and Al Reyes. Silvio Vargas arranged to have an interview with Inside Kung Fu. This was back in 73, 74. I can't remember. But he asked me to come down to his school to demonstrate the sword, you know, so they could take some pictures and it'd be in the magazine, blah, blah, blah. So I did, and while we were waiting, Silvio Vargas got on the phone and called Grandmaster and told him to come out. Sergio wanted to go out to dinner with him. So Sergio and Al came in, and we talked and blah, blah, blah. And Sergio saw that poster that I had of me demonstrating the sword. You know, you got a picture of it, you know. I got the double swords.
Yeah, I think I've seen that one, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, he looked at that, and rather than critiquing my form, he says, "Look, your skin is showing. That's almost obscene." And I said, "Okay." And then the question got around to how you choke a man out, and they would use me, and he would, well, you grab this way. Then Cibo Reyes goes, no, you grab it like this. Oh, no, you grab it like this. Like, holy mackerel. So that was during the time we were waiting for a great Grandmaster to show up.
Uh-huh.
So then we all showed up. We all got in cars and went over to Chinatown, San Francisco, and met a guy named Ming Lum over there. Have you ever heard of him?
Yes, I remember Ming Lum.
He took us to some, I couldn't find it today if I wanted to. It was in a back alley, and we went here, went there. He went in the back and talked to the chef, and the chef comes out and talks to Cijo and Grandmaster, and then they disappear, and they come back, and all this food comes out, and it was just wolfed down.
Had the connection, sounds like. So
yeah.
You mentioned a little bit about them both taking turns choking you as the uke.
They were taking turns. I don't know how the subject came up. I just know I was in the middle. And,
that's the life of the uke. Yeah.
Yeah. First time to meet Cijo.
So what was Grandmaster Gaylord's sense of humor like? I mean, it sounds, you mentioned he sees your poster and he says, "Hey, your skin's showing." I mean, and I remember he had somewhat of a joking sense once in a while. I remember hearing as he would talk at the workouts for once in a while,
It's hard to say what type of joke. It just, if something struck him, that was funny. All I remember of the early days is when we moved to from this the original San Leandro school to where it ended up. And we took the place off of East 14th, moved over to MacArthur Boulevard. People I would notice people be working out before they got on the mat. There'd be a little makiwara board set up and blah, blah. People would be there working before the class. And right about class time, the door would open and in come Great Grandmaster. About 5 or 6 people would go out the back and leave through the back door. They were afraid of him.
What were they so afraid of? They didn't want to be the uke?
No, they knew he came in looking to work out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were the ones that liked to wear the gi on the back. I know Siebel Melkor talked about 2 types of people. Somebody who wears the gi on the back to be named, and they weren't from they weren't from the heart. There were some people that were there just to demonstrate that they had the gi,
Right. There's been a lot of those.
Yeah. You just meet them all the time. But they would leave and I'd be standing there like, what?
All by yourself.
I got into the advanced class because Professor Gaylord said, you want to help out around here. You want to come in and be an assistant teacher. Mm-hmm. They had a women's self-defense class and another class after that. They needed an assistant. They needed a body to throw around what they needed or somebody to be a punching bag. And he says, if you do, you can come into the advanced class. So I said, yeah, hell yeah. So during my first one there, I see all this browns and black belts and just a whole wall of people in front of me. And Grandmaster said, I want to demonstrate on you. And I'm like, who, me? So there I went.
Yeah, that's what you signed up for.
Yeah. He did that quite a lot.
Yeah.
I remember one demonstration for a referees association dinner. I can't remember the alphabet, but
yeah,
it was a prelude to the referees association they got now.
Okay.
They're going to have a big dinner, and during the course of the dinner, they asked Professor to demonstrate. Mm-hmm. I was already going to demonstrate a knife attack, blah, blah, blah. So I was already set. Mm-hmm. But that changed my mind. When they asked him, he said, people look bored. He said, they look bored. I'm going to liven things up. I said, okay, this is going to hurt. So I looked at the bottle of wine they had sitting on the table. I said, I need that. So I took a little wine. But anyways, what he did, I don't remember if I grabbed him or I punched him. I don't remember because everything went blank. He flipped me up, slammed me down on the table, drugged me across the table, slammed me down, picked up a chair, was hitting me with it, and just. He said, "That's what real life fighting is like." Needless to say, he got a standing ovation. Everybody was off to the side already because they didn't want to get in the way. They didn't know how many tables he was going to use.
I've heard instructors talk about that. Not necessarily in Kajukenbo. I know if you talk to Sifu Ron, he works with Hockheim quite a bit. And that's one thing he's mentioned, that fighting is not this pretty, choreographed thing. It's more like, as you said, slamming a guy on the table and hit him with the chair. That's a real fight. And
it looks real.
Yeah, and so Grandmaster Gaylord, it sounded like he was talking about that a long time ago.
Yes.
So that's the revolution. I think growing up myself, all the martial arts schools, part of the image was, peaceful and zen, and this is your fight will look, like a ballet kind of thing. And he brought that from the original. That's amazing to hear. I never knew that.
Oh yeah. Oh, he did that a lot. A lot of times we didn't practice the demos. We just, I got a demo over here. Let's go. And whatever he called out, we had to do. Or we got hit in the nose.
And I think that's another big thing with Kajukenbo. I feel like in the Gaylord branch, I learned that a lot. That the demos, for example. I mean, I've never liked demos. But the thing about the demos is that there was very little real practice. You might practice one thing and the demo would be something completely different. It was what you really knew rather than a choreographed dance.
See, that's where the problem with katas and kumite have a problem. There are things you can do in kata that you can't do in sparring, in the kumite.
Right.
And Grandmaster used to say, you got to be able to do it both. You got to have the patience. You got to have the patience to do the kata right. Your body's stopping straight line. The other hand tucks in by your rib. But reality, you kick your shoulder in a little bit. You tuck this hand here, pull it up here, drop down here. You have to know that as well. The kata was designed to put you in the frame of mind, there's the fight. And these certain moves are done to do the fight. What happened was a lot of people were just doing the moves. They were just doing moves. They didn't know what they were doing it for. Perfect example, I was teaching a class at hand-to-hand one time, and I saw some kid doing an inside crescent. He was hitting his hand, boom. I said, is that how you do the inside crescent? And he said, yeah. I said, well, here. I took a target, and I said, here, hit my hand. Pretend my hand's the head. And he stuck his hand in between the target and his foot. And you just blocked your own kick. There's a time for a reason for that. That's telling me I'm sitting my weapon to a target using my hand. But then when the target is there, get your hand out of the way. Another example is the punching attack. It drops down with an elbow. I think 6.
Yeah, 6.
On what a lot of people were doing is they were doing this. I said, you just protected the man.
Right.
I know that I have a partner, so I'm going to cushion it. But if I do it for real, that elbow's by itself.
Right.
There's no cushion there, and I have to know that.
Right. Now, Grandmaster Gaylord, when he did that demo on you, did he ever use that hand to protect you?
I don't think so. I was hit so many directions, and then suddenly went airborne. I didn't care. I just tried wherever I got hit.
All right, so we're almost done for today, Sigang. If this is the last question I'm asking everybody, if Grandmaster Gaylord came down, if you had the chance to give him a message today, what is the last thing you would like to say to him?
Well, it would probably be along the same lines as when he promoted me to 6th degree. When he gave me my belt, I said, Professor, you've given me a death sentence. What do you mean a death sentence? And I said, because now, no matter how old I get, no matter how hurt I get, no matter how many injuries I get, I have to keep teaching. I have to keep it on. He said, well, for as long as you have life in you, keep teaching.
So that was his message to you, huh?
Yeah.
Excellent. So that's the message that's going to stick with you, and I think that will stick with us as well. All of us who've trained under you guys, and we appreciate that. I feel the same. It feels like a death sentence sometimes. I'd be teaching for the rest of my life.
It's not an advancement to a new level. It's a responsibility that now you have to make sure everything is right that you pass down, because the others are looking up to you to learn. And if you make a mistake, I had a guy when I was a third degree. He came in with his mom on crutches, and he said, "My mom wants to talk to you." And I said, "About what?" And I looked at his leg, and I didn't remember kicking him or anything like that in his leg. And she goes, "I want to thank you for saving his life." And I said, "What for?" She goes, "A couple of nights ago or so, you had taught him knife attacks or something, and you told him to be real and block and blah, blah, blah." And he said that saved his life because he needed it. Some guys jumped him. One fractured his leg, but the guy that tried to knife him, he was able to block it and take it away and defend himself. I said, yeah, that's what it's all about.
That is what it's all about. And I think that's what Grandmaster gave us as well. I think we're all grateful for what he's given us in that teaching. Well, that's all the time we have for today. So thank you for joining us today, Sikang. It's always a pleasure.
Yes.
Let's talk again soon. I always appreciate talking with you. For those of you at home, thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned for our next episode. We will continue this look into who was Charles Gaylord. Until then, stay strong, stay Kajukenbo strong. Mahalo.
Kajukenbo forever.